Namaste. Thank you so much for clicking through to my YouTube video. I'm Tash and my channel and business is called Heart and Design. Here you will find a wide range of step-by-step tutorials, but also my favourite mindfulness art sessions. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's get started. Today it's our step-by-step tutorial.
So today we're going to have a go at watercolour tulips. All you need for this is the watercolours paints. It doesn't matter what type they are, what brand, whatever you have, whatever you can get local to you. A mix of watercolour brushes or just any brushes that you have. We've got flats, rounds, and there's filberts there. They're 3 different types that I have, and I just have a few in a range of different sizes, and I keep these for watercolours. I don't like to mix them with acrylic paints, so just a little tip, because they can get a bit mucky with acrylic. And then a little palette so you can mix your colours, some water to mix, a pencil and a rubber. This is one of those kneading rubbers. A liner pen. Might need it, might not. I'll decide as we go along. It's there ready. I've got my candles on. I would normally, when I'm painting, have some kind of relaxing music on as well, but I have the back door open. It's feeling spring-like and I can hear the birds, so we're going to run with that. So the first thing I have to do is tape this watercolour paper. I don't think I mentioned that. You do also need watercolour paper. Again, don't worry about the brand, don't worry about the make. Yes, there are probably superior ones that are very expensive, but you don't need it. Just use what you can get, what you can afford. It's better than not doing art at all and waiting until you can afford it. Just get what you can. It does the same job. So, going to start off with, now I'm using the tulips as an inspiration. I may not exactly copy what's on there, we'll see. Let's get started. So I'm just going to pencil in like a rough idea of where the petals are on some of them. There we are, and then it comes up and kind of mirrors on that one, kind of looks the same. Okay, and then the inside petal, which does have a line coming down. Just draw the stalk. Now the reason why I've taped it down, I forgot to say, is because as you put more watercolour paint on there, it's very wet and the paper will warp, and this just holds it flat so that you can paint on it, and then it will dry flatter as well. Right, so that's one tulip. Let's go for this one here. It's a bit lower down, so let's try for drawing this petal so I know the distance and the height compared to that one. So when I'm drawing, I'm always looking for comparing where things are in relation to others. Now remember, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as what's on the screen or whatever it is you're going to paint. This is a free image off Pixabay, so you're allowed to use it for whatever you want. So just get some idea of something that looks like a tulip, because when the paint's on, that's what will bring it alive. This is going to be quite a short tutorial. I'm probably not going to worry about a background this time, but you can. I'll decide as I go along. This is more of, it is a tutorial, but I want you to see how an artist works, how I work. I make decisions as I go along. I don't have it all planned out from the beginning to the end, because that's no fun. So yes, I will be showing you the way I do some things, but in the long run, I make decisions as I go along. So I don't really know what's going to happen, and that's great. I like that. It's all about not having to control the outcome. What will be, will be. So something like that. That tulip's behind that leaf. I may just leave it at that because the 3 there in the middle looks quite nice. Yeah, okay. Now what I might do actually, I will do a background. I'll do like a nice bluey background. I'm going to use a round for this. You can see, so it's about a mid-size brown. Mid-size brown, mid-size round. So I'm going to mix up some sky blue, but I actually want it, I don't know if you can see my palette there, it is, although it is sky blue, it's quite strong and I don't really want that, so I'm going to get some white as well, make it even paler. Sorry, move my hand out of the way. There, right, so I've mixed the colour. Now what I think I'm going to do is wet in wet, because if you wet it first, it can you can then just dab on the blue and it will make its own patterns, it will make its own way around the paper wherever you have put the water. Try not to put too much because it will make little puddles and it will take forever to dry, and then you'll just have one puddle of paint and it won't go anywhere. So yeah, we're just filling up the background with water. Remember I said no puddles. I think that was blue there. Yeah. Don't think I put the leaf in there that was supposed to be in there. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Right, blue. So, paper is wet, so I should be able to just dot blue in and let it spread and do its thing. Just as long as I make sure the paper is still wet, because if the paper dries, it won't do that. There we are, just doing its own thing. And if you see it puddling anywhere, just push it around and it will find its way. That's what I like about watercolours, is what used to scare me about watercolours is what now I love about them. I used to think, oh, it's got a mind of its own, it's just going to go where it wants. It's great. It just takes all of the stress and strain out of thinking, oh, have I put that mark in the right place? Does it really matter? Only if you're doing something that's going to be like hyper realistic. That's the only time it really matters, and I don't really work like that. I like everything I do to just be painterly. Painterly meaning loose, not worrying too much about what's where. I'm just running with it. Okay, so I think I like that. When it dries, you can always just add a bit more to the background. So now we've got to mix up some pinks. Quite dark pinks there at the front, but we've got to work in watercolour from the lights through to the darks. So you start off your bottom layer as pale as you can, and then you work towards your top layer where you will put your darker shades on. Acrylics is a lot different. With acrylics, it's the exact opposite. Not always, but I always mostly tend to put the highlights on at the end. You know what we forgot to do? I forgot to rub out the pencil lines. Never mind. It's okay, because that's something we can do at the end. And I am seeing that it's a bit darker around these edges. That's where it's laying over, but just making sure it's lovely and watered down and pale where it needs to be. Remember, we're not worrying about detail too much. Just get the foundations, get the colours down first. Make sure it's nice and light, and then we can build on that. If you brush in the direction that the object, whatever it is you're painting, it gives it that sense of form because you are painting that way. It makes it more 3D. rather than when we were little and at school, we'd probably paint in just one direction, and then we'd wonder why it doesn't look like it's 3D. So yeah, so I feel as though the petals are kind of moving around that way. So as I put down colour, I am putting it down in that way, in that direction. Right, this has started to dry a bit, so I'm going to start adding a little bit more colour in. Now it's still wet, which is nice, because then you get a little bit of bleed, which is okay. We don't mind that, it's quite nice. But if it's too much, just push it away, it's fine. There we go. My back door's open, just in case you heard that beeping horn. I don't know who that was. Right, I'm still just adding layers. Still just adding layers. Now I've got a dryer that I use to dry it off. I want to just dry that now so I can start building up a bit more detail. You can just use a hair dryer. I think that might be done. There's a little bit there. Right. Now to add a little bit of darker pink and different pinks. I think I'm using a purple colour, but it actually seems to be more purpley pink anyway. So now I'm just adding some more darker bits. See, it's already rippling. The paper is already causing chaos. Right, so, and then I'd say this bit here. Oh, just dribbled. This bit here. Yep. That's dark, and then this bit here, and then pull it down. This has like another bit here. Just kind of make it look as though there's lots of dimension to it. Like a normal tulip would be. You would have lots of dimension. This one wasn't quite as dry, so it might bleed a bit more, but that's okay. As I say, no rules, no rules. Just, you don't even have to make it look like the ones on the picture, you know. I'm not hardly looking, I'm just playing. Okay. Now I might just start a bit of green while that bit dries. Don't worry as well if it does kind of bleed out, because in the end you'll see that I like to do quite an abstract sort of splattery background anyway, so don't worry about it. So I've got this kind of lime green colour. I think that might need a bit of white. It's almost a bit too green. Yeah, that's a bit better. Calmed it down a bit. So let's mix some of that up. Let's go, was it that green? Not sure now. Yeah. Can you see, just about see the palette, can't you? Right. So I might just move to a slightly smaller round brush. That way I feel as though I can, although it's not as abstract, because the bigger your brushes are, kind of more abstract you can be, because it's just going to spread further. But I do need to keep the the actual stems in its space a bit better. There we are. Now I'm going to put the lime green on the leaves, however they aren't really lime green, so it's just when I put the darker colour on it will show up more as being mixtures of greens. There we go. I think that'll do. Let that dry. Let's get the dryer on again. Don't worry if it's looking a bit of a hot mess. Just enjoy. It always comes together in the end. It always makes sense in the end. There's me saying not to do a puddle and I've done a puddle. Okay. Don't think I stuck this down very tightly. Let's try again. I'll paint my fingers now. There we go. Okay. Right. So now I have the smaller round brush as I was using to do the leaves. Now I will probably try and go in and do a bit more detail on top, just to make it look like they are actually tulips. If you notice, they've got these lines in them. So get some kind of feeling of the dark against the light. I don't even think the whole of that petal is coloured in. Let's get that painted. It's too pale. Do a darker bit around here. There we are. Now, this middle one has splurged a bit, so let's get that. Let's get this tidied up. We don't want it to be too pale. There we go. Then we need to go back to the other flower and do underneath with this flower. This one's quite bright here. That's probably because it's behind other things. It's casting more of a shadow. This doesn't tend to have too many light spots. So again, just keep painting downwards in the direction you want to show where the tulips are coming from. So want some darker bits in there. Gonna have some dark bits here. This is just again creating a bit of depth in the tulips. You can do it however you want on yours. Really, they should all turn out a little bit different. Mainly because watercolour goes where it wants to go. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. And we're going to go over to the leaves. I want a darker green this time because it's darker in the photo. and I think it's a bit more realistic. The lime green is nice, but I don't think I've ever seen it that lime green. Let's just check it's dry. Great. So just, you can't see that, can you? The picture's in the way. I think that's the only place the picture will go. So I'll do that one quickly and I'll move over to the next one. This big leaf here is all of it's pretty green, dark green, but I still, artist's choice, I still want to have some of that lime green kind of popping through a little bit underneath. Just a little bit. That's why I put it down there, because it gives you that background to have it there if you want it there. There. And yeah. Okay, so I'm not too happy with the flower over here. There's something not quite right. So I'm just going to go in again, even darker, and really try and get these kind of purples in here to shape the leaf around a bit. Yeah, just a bit darker there. Not the leaf, the petal, sorry. And then this one here. Yeah, that's better. So now we can see the actual shapes of the petals a bit better. It's not easy to do and make it look natural, because your brain just wants everything to be even, and nothing is really like that in nature. So I think I'll try and define that other petal that's tucked in behind a little bit. That's better. I'm happier now. Okay. So what I do like to do when I finished it is to then go over it in pen once it's completely dry. So we're going to give it a good dry now. Now obviously you could keep going with more and more layers of watercolour, putting in more detail, but I'm on a tight schedule, school run in a minute, so I'm going to tie it up here. So, liner pen, now that it's definitely dry, just double checking, it's a little bit wet there still. Okay, I'm going to draw in some of the sections like that. I don't necessarily draw in the whole thing, just a few little lines here and there. It's just something I like to do with watercolour. You don't have to, you can leave it just as it was, but I just like the way it gives it a little bit more shape, more definition. But it is a choice. This will be classed as mixed media because I've used pen and watercolour. Okay, so you can see it kind of takes shape once you add in the pen a bit more. I just like the look. A lot of my artwork is watercolour and pen, but this is a very quick beginner's painting. So we're going to move on to splattering, which is good fun. All you need is the brush that you want to splatter with. Choose which size you want, so I think I might use the bigger one, and I'll just use this one to rest. So get some watery colour, and I suggest just using the colours that you have used already, and splatter. And it just gives the picture a nice overall finish. I think so anyway. I love it. I like the fact that watercolour is so loose and it is so free. Let's do some blue now, some bluer splatters. There we go. Let them go anyway. It doesn't matter if they go on top. It's fine. We love it. It's good. It's fun. Enjoy it. Don't worry too much about the perfectionism of it. Just enjoy it. Green. Let's get some green. There we are. Oh, not enough on my brush. Let's get it properly soaked. And that was a bit big, that one. And actually it doesn't matter if they're a bit big, you can just push them in a bit. Make it part of the background. Quite like doing that as well. See, it just kind of disappears. Let's get more splatters on there though. Ah, okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. It's a very quick tutorial. I didn't have much time because I've got to go and pick the kiddies up. But yeah, you can keep layering up the colours. You can put more saturated colours on top, making more depth with your lights and darks, because the key to any painting is knowing your values. So values meaning light to dark. So you need your highlights and you need your darker colours, and then you need the middle ones as well. Okay, but what brings it to life is having that value range, because that will create the depth. So I hope that's been of use, even though it was short and sweet. Hope you have a good day for the rest of your Wednesday, and I'll be back on Friday with Zentangle Friday, which should be fun. Should be another quick kind of mindfulness session. So bye for now.